Hello, Noomi. It's a great pleasure to have you with us for this conversation on OOH and the year ahead. Get to the first question that I had is that the beginning of this year, various studies have projected very strong growth for the advertising business globally. If I were to just take the example of the Denso ad spend forecast released in January 2022, which suggests that the market will reach $745 billion this year, exceeding even the 2019 pre-pandemic spends. India is also cited as one of the fastest growing ad markets. So how do you see these trends impacting or influencing the course of OOH business in general?
Well, first and foremost, it's a pleasure to be here, Rajiv. Thank you for having me on the show.
Thank you so much, Noomi.
Yes, the last 2 years have been more than a bit of a dampener for outdoor, mostly around the world. The countries that have been more severely hit by this have been, of course, the developing countries such as India. And even some of the more developed countries like Australia, they've suffered a great deal during this COVID times. Markets of Europe, the outdoor markets have been surprisingly resilient, and though there has been a fall, it hasn't exceeded 20 to 25%, either in the UK or in Europe. Which led me to thinking as to why is it that India gets so badly or so severely affected. Well, I came to the conclusion that we are severely affected because the decision-making centers of Mumbai and Delhi have been leading the charge into COVID. And as a result of which, the offices were closed and the decision makers were not on the spot to take any decision. And advertising, particularly outdoor advertising, not having priority, automatically gets pushed to the back of the schedule or back of the agenda, which meant that until they get got back into office and things got back to normal, the outdoor budgets were not being used. We have our typical problems over here, which are not like those in the developed countries. So not too much of what happens abroad could affect us over here. We've seen a surprising trend towards keeping the gunpowder dry, as it were. The advertisers are not willing to get back in any big way or any new solid campaign. They just keep testing the waters and they're wondering what is the right time for them to make the big push forward. I dare say the stabilizing of the markets with Omicron now receding into the background, and with Omicron BA2 also not making as much of an impact. People say it's already here, but it hasn't really impacted the country and numbers are going down. These signs are very, very positive for us. Outdoor was very badly hit. I feel mainly because lack of attributability. We could not directly attribute the success of any brand to the outdoor component or the outdoor advertising component. I think this has affected us very badly. So as to the future, well, yes, the future does look bright, but the initiatives that we are taking, the initiatives for measurement, which has been reasonably well received by everybody, we're now talking to the agencies, we hope to get them on board. By and large, we've got all outdoor operators on board, barring one or two. I'm sure they will come around too. The point, Rajiv, is if we keep doing the same old thing, we're going to get the same old result. Right. The same old result was a decreasing share of the pie. We're not satisfied with that. We need to keep increasing that share of pie of ours. And we're reasonably certain that with the new initiatives that we're taking, both as you mentioned, on the measurement front, which results in attributability, and on the front of digital advertising, we hope to be able to cannibalize just a small share of that digital market. When I say a small share, even if we can manage to cannibalize just 3%, it will lead to over 1,000 crores. So, we do hope that digital advertising in India will come of age, and this thrust towards measurement will help not only digital advertising, but also work the opposite way, because digital advertising lends itself superbly to the measurement game.
Very interesting, Noomi. In fact, you've touched upon some of the aspects that I have probably asked you about, but I'll, of course, come back to you with a few questions around those. Well, when the pandemic broke out in early 2020, I've heard people say, never let a crisis go to waste. And perhaps what they meant was that this was a time to disrupt our business, embrace new practices, new technologies, and all of those kinds. Indian Overwatch was in a phase of change over these years, but it hadn't been a very spectacular change. Would you say that the pandemic accelerated the change that was necessary on the Indian Overwatch landscape?
Rajiv, history has shown us that new cities can only be built when the foundations of the old one are broken and covered. So, unfortunately, that may ring true for outdoor advertising also. Definitely, the marginal players have been reduced in outdoor advertising. Those who could not afford proper systems, those who could not afford proper structures, those who did not believe in the medium enough or did not have the resources enough to invest in the medium, I think they've made way now. Having said that, there's also a lot to be said for consolidation, and more than consolidation, cooperation. Whereas previously there was a great resistance to cooperation, working together with each other. That seems to have now disappeared. Mm-hmm. People are willing to look at new opportunities, not only for growth, but just to hold steady, as it were, to get back, onto familiar territories of positive results, perhaps marginal profits, even if they are marginal at the end of the year. That's become very important. You said that the adoption of new technologies was perhaps not as good as it could have been. That's very true. But then the adoption of new technologies requires money. And when it's all hands to the pump, try and keep the ship afloat, you do need to get some of your crewmen overboard so the ship is light enough to carry you to shore. So, well, there has been a downsizing in the industry to a great extent. And it was all hands to the pump to try and get all the floodwaters of COVID resistance out, get all this negativity out of the system and try and concentrate on the core of the business. So we have managed to go back, I believe, to the core of the business. And in doing so, we have all become slimmer, trimmer, and I dare say more cost conscious. And more than cost conscious, I think we have become ego conscious. Ego, which was ruining the business, was coming in the way of making sensible decisions. Outdoor people are notorious for ego. They bid recklessly on sites just because they feel they can make a grand statement of a grand announcement. I mean, I've seen, if I'm not mistaken, a site of some 300 feet by 200 feet or some such thing in Mumbai. And I was wondering, why on earth would somebody want a site of 300 feet by 200 feet? When I guess a site of 120 by 30 would do the job or some such thing. So, of course, it is very ego satisfying to see your name larger than anybody else's. But can you get more than 100% viewership? I mean, once you reach a saturation point,
right,
and you've got your message across to everybody, you can't beat them over the head and say, you keep looking at my site only. Even if you do that, you still get only 100% attention. You can't go beyond 100%. And I think that is the key factor that our outdoor media owners have yet to realize. The sites have become bigger, they've become grander, they've become illuminated, they've been bordered with LEDs and all kinds of things. These are all good, but it's not possible to go beyond 100% coverage of any edge. No matter how important the traffic is, if you have 10 sites on the road, the audience will only get that message into his head and that you are there and they've seen your ad. As you keep plastering your ad with them, the same ad, they will get fed up with you. But if you do have a lot of things to say, by all means, take a number of sites. But if you don't have too much to say, well, stop trying to hammer people on the head with it. That would be one of my suggestions. Yes, certainly ideas and localities are very important. You can put your message across in a much more pleasing manner than what we are doing. With more creativity, more sensitivity, and perhaps a touch of local news, local knowledge, topicality, that would go a very, very long way. I mean, people talk about the AMOLAD all the time, or Air India earlier, because the sheer topicality of the comments, the slight humor. That's what is required, I think, more in advertising. Not just blasting your name across or putting the managing director's face all across the billboard and hoping that everyone's going to buy it because it looks so good on the That doesn't really work.
Right, right, Noomi, absolutely well said. Noomi, in fact, that ties in with the question that I have with regard to the availability of OH. By and large, one has seen OH business to be very supply side driven. Whereas the media consumption patterns have changed so much, and with greater competition, there is a need for a demand-driven kind of a business to take shape. Are you seeing any kind of a shift towards a demand-driven OH business?
Right now, no, we are not yet moved towards that. I dare say clients are not demanding too much from us because we have not been able to offer too much to them in the past. So, the little add-ons that we do, they're restricted to one or two sites in metro cities only. We've not yet managed to get it going across the board in a large way. So my own feeling is that we need to make the buying process so much easier than it is at the moment. This business of asking people for site availability and send photographs. I mean, how many times are you going to send the same photograph? Can't you get it onto a website, and just simply press the button and say, look, these are the sites available. Technology can do that for us. This is available, these are dates on which it's available, these are the rates. It can be done at the press of a button. Why do we need to keep going back to paper and making frantic phone calls and visits and charging around by cars to take these piles of papers and photographs all over? We don't need to do that. This new system that we're bringing out of measurement will help us in the sense that the photograph problem at least should be resolved quite easily, because those photo updates will be there regularly, and if they supply to a service, then it would be in a position for them to get what we call a virtual audit of all the sites, because the cameras will capture all the data. So we're looking forward to that. This study promises great things for us. We need to back it, all of us, universally. And if we do that, I think we are going to get out of the rut that we found us. So then we will get back to the growth part, even in terms of increasing the share of pie.
To me, globally, there is a greater thrust in the OH markets for developing a common currency or refining the common currency that is already there. Under your leadership, Indian Outdoor Advertising Association also has initiated steps. You have constituted a committee. The committee has done considerable groundwork. So if you could help us understand where does this initiative stand at this point in time? What are the great expectations that we can have from the initiatives that have been taken thus far?
Well, very good. We have done a pilot study, and we had invited all the board members to give details of 5 sites, and in return gives them all the measurement studies in terms of passers-by. Now, in outdoor advertising, a lot of money has been invested by various agencies and perhaps even some media owners to try and get better data. We need to be careful that we don't step on anyone's toes. At the same time, create a common currency or a common platform saying, look, these are the numbers. And these are the assumptions that are there. These are public knowledge. Now you take these basics measurements forward, apply your own special formulas that you have, your own special studies that you have, and come to your own conclusions, which you can present to the client. That gives you ample room to use whatever data, whatever technology, whatever refinement that you have, and to add it to the common field. In case you don't wish to do this exercise and want what is there, further information is also available through the study that we are doing, which will give you the refined data if you so choose. So there's an option of both worlds over there. And I think this model will work well in India, because as I said, agencies are looking for that unique proposition which they've invested in, and that investment should not go to waste. So rather than let it go to waste, we're simply layering structures on it over it, which will help them make the presentations and I hope secure the business and therefore give us more business as we go.
Wonderful. Noomi, you are definitely aware that the World Out of Home Organization is in the process of compiling the global guidelines for audience metrics. Do you
That's
see
right.
that as an opportunity to engage with that body with regard to this particular subject? Are there things that we could, as a market, learn from the global experiences, or are there things that the Indian market can contribute with regard to the compilation of the global guidelines?
Well, Rajiv, it's interesting you say so because we have worked very closely with the world body for this, and we've gotten in contact with two people over there, uh, you know, Neil and Neil Edelson and I forget what the gentleman- Gideon.
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 Yes.
Gideon. Yeah. And before we undertook the study, we had a discussion with them, and they have said yes, this is perhaps the best way forward. They warned us about the pitfall. Now, this is a very simplistic, very simple study that we're doing. But there is a unique feature in this study. This is the first study that will be done globally without any upfront direct investment from any association, person, or body.
Oh, wow.
So yes, we are hitting the ground running, saying, look, we'll give you continuous measurements. You have to pay only perhaps so many hundred or so many thousand per site, per location. And that's it. We keep feeding you the data, the latest data every day. You get the numbers, and then you do what you like with those numbers. You want to add on it, you want to layer it, you want to, use it for your sites, your competition site, whatever you choose to do, you can do. But this information is available and will be made available to anybody who wants it. So I think this will be a path breaker in the sense that no investment is required. All the others that I know, have been spending frightfully gigantic amounts. The latest, perhaps, and the latest and best study in the world today would be the one that is done in Australia,
Yes.
which now involves neuroscience.
Yes. Yes.
Not only are they saying, not only are they tracking whether you have seen the ad or not, they're also tracking your response when you cite the ad. Are you frowning? Are you smiling? Are you taking it in? Is there a crinkle? Is there attention? Is there a look of unhappiness or disgust, perhaps? So they are managing to actually use neuroscience to capture the emotion of the viewer, not just to see whether he's seen the ad. I don't know. What is his reaction to that particular, so that they can zone further to give the consumer what they want. I think this is an absolute game changer. No other medium, no medium at all can give this. No medium, it's not possible for any medium to do this. Not digital, not newspaper, not magazine, not radio. We can precisely give what the theory would be is that there are a number of ads that are available. They check the audience passing by, and they say that the majority of, let's say, young girls, teenage girls are around. So you give the ad meant for teenage girls, check the responses, and change the ad if necessary, which is all done programmatically. Nothing needs to be done in between. No manual intervention. So you get the best opportunity out of every opportunity.
Absolutely. I think
this is a game changer.
Absolutely. And I think the Indian out-of-home industry would definitely need those kind of game changers, and the adoption of such technologies that would be really transformative. Connecting with that particular thought, Noomi just wanted to also ask about the IOAA and its approach. At a time when the industry body was constituted, the character of the Indian OH was vastly different from what it is today. As a result, the focus of IOAA, if I may have got it right, had been largely on large format OH business. However, in the last 8 to 10 years, there have been quite many new formats that have come into the picture. And as a result, when we are looking at the out-of-home advertising landscape, it has a wide mix of service providers, media format owners, technology providers. So from that perspective, how best can IOAA be a truly inclusive body that is functions, for all the stakeholders, so that Indian OH is truly integrated in this approach?
Again, we are ourselves in IOAA going through a rebranding exercise. What I can say is, don't look now, we're changing.
All right.
We hope to get a new logo out. put the new message across. We are not just going to be the IOAA, the Indian Outdoor Advertising Association. We're changing that. We're recognizing the different formats that there are. We're not going with the old outdoor advertising, because we're more than outdoor advertising. We're now out-of-home advertising. We're more than out-of-home advertising now. We're also getting into perhaps a bit of the mobile sector, which can also be called a part of the new age.
Right.
So we are aware of all these different elements that are part and parcel of the offerings of outdoor advertising. Not earlier outdoor advertising, now OOH. And we're looking to get them all into the membership. Because as I'd heard earlier from Decor when he spoke at one of the World Body meetings, said ultimately all advertising and all information will be just two kinds. One is private and one will be public.
Correct.
So we fall into the public domain, public digital advertising and private digital advertising. This is going to be the future of all advertising, all communication. So once you break it up that way, we have a very, very large canvas in front of us, much bigger than a billboard or a kiosk or even a traffic signal. So we have a long way to go, definitely. But we must recognize the opportunities for what they are. And we must be able to face the future with confidence and with the courage that it needs. What we need now is great investment, great foresight, and great enthusiasm. I see the enthusiasm waning a little bit. I see the investments definitely being put on hold. And I can't say I blame them. Perhaps there just isn't enough money to go around. We would all like to invest now. Everybody keeps saying invest when the market is down. We would love to do that. When the market is down, we are down too. Unfortunately, every time a lockdown is announced, the next day, all the cancellations are done. So we lose money instantly. And we don't recover until the lockdown is finished. And then it gradually builds up over a period of 3 months, back to the status that it was. And then it takes another 3 months for the monies to come in. If we have a lockdown period of, say, just 2 months, for us it's going to take 8 months to return to normal. With that kind of a leeway, we've really suffered. So we have not yet got past the third wave. Companies are not yet back to normal. Everyone is edging ahead slowly. Billboards are displaying messages. Clients are coming back. And most of the clients say, yes, the campaign's on the way, on the way, on the way. As I keep saying, it's all in the pipeline. Me, I keep imagining that if there's so much pressure on the pipeline, perhaps the pipeline may burst. Why don't you just release some and stop jamming the pipeline? So, well, I guess they will come in their good time. They're all getting ready for the new opportunities that are available. Having said this, the market itself in India has changed. The consumption habits of people have changed. The consumption habits of media have changed. But what has been recognized the world over is that when younger audiences go out, they love to see billboards, they love to see outdoor advertising. It gives them a message that says, hey, the good times are here again. There are all these lovely digital billboards displaying various messages. I'm familiar with this. This is my territory. Let's get back to normal.
Wonderful. It's very heartening to hear about the IOA outlook and how you are bringing in the different elements of this expanding OH industry together under your leadership. Noomi, at the end of the day, an industry body is as good as the depth of its membership. And what are the initiatives that you are planning or you have undertaken to actually bring a lot more industry people to become a part of IOAA?
Well, we are following a two-pronged approach. First and foremost, we are identifying the big players who are missing, whether from the region, from the zone, from the state, or from the city. And we're asking them specifically to join, making separate representations to them come on board. Next, we're planning to take on some road shows. We have planned a number of road shows across the country where we would meet the people, talk about the existing, get an idea of the existing problems ahead, then go with some solutions, meet them, perhaps meet the local authorities, try and give them a solution to the problems, at the same time inviting them to be members of the IOAA. So we're not just promising that we will do something, we're trying to come with practical answers. Say, okay, we have this problem with the authorities, we're having this meeting, let's have a talk with the mayor, let's have a talk with the commission, let's see what can be done, come to a better solution be found. So that's the approach that we're planning, and we are very hopeful that it will succeed.
Noomi, I wish you, on behalf of Media for Growth, the very best for all the initiatives that you've taken and the great outlook you have and the great expectations that we all can have from Indian OH. Thank you so much for your time and for your great observations on the current trends and what we can expect from Indian OH in the coming times. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Rajiv. And may I mention how happy and thankful we are to your organization. They've always supported us. And in fact, you were also responsible for the very initiation of the Outdoor Advertising Association more than a decade ago. These things are not forgotten. We definitely carry you close to our heart. And we are glad for all the support we have received. And whatever little we can do to help your organization, we certainly will do. Having said which, we are all part and parcel of the same universe of outdoor advertising. The faster it grows, the better for all.